Outside of the Echo Chamber, the official I Dream of Indie Games podcast is brought to you by you, the gamer. If you'd like to join our mission to support indie visibility, head over to patreon.com/I Dream of Indie Games and bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. Greetings, Indie Warriors. Welcome back to what we strive to make the most entertaining and informative indie gaming show on the web. You are once again tuned in to Outside of the Echo Chamber. I'm Old Gamer Joe, joined today with Barely Magic Mike and Silent Signs. What is our mission, you ask? Well, it's to celebrate the indie gaming scene, shining a light on its talented developers and publishers. We bring you daily reviews on our channel, first impressions, top 10 lists, the biggest sales, and of course, this very show that covers all the latest indie gaming news and beyond outside of the Echo Chamber. So a huge thank you to everybody out there who supports independent content like this. Patreon.com/I Dream of Indie Games. We've got a stretch goal going on right now. We are trying to turn this podcast into a video format. If we can reach $400, we're around a little bit over halfway there now. Chip in if you want to see this show take on a video form so you can see all of our beautiful faces. All right, Spotify, YouTube Music. We are also on Apple Podcasts. I didn't even realize this, Silent Signs, and iHeart as well. So pretty much wherever you listen to your podcast, you can enjoy this show. It is live for Patreon members on Mondays, but 3 days later in public feeds, Thursdays. I am a Spotify person myself, but whatever your preferred platform, we should be there. And a lot of you like to just watch listen to/watch on YouTube, so that's totally cool too. You can leave a comment. We usually read those at the end of every episode. Speaking of episodes though, today's episode, we have the latest indie gaming news stories that caught our attention. Not a ton of them, but a few. We'll be discussing what's been happening in our personal lives and on the channel. Preview what's coming up this week on that channel. And of course, our topic of the day. How do we feel about boss battles in games? Are they generally fun or do we dislike them more often than not? But before all of that, it's time for our icebreaker. This is a new section of the podcast. This will be new for you, Barely Magic Mike. It's just a silly question to kind of get the ball rolling. So today's icebreaker. If your fart had a specific scent that matched your personality, what would it smell like? I'll start with you, Silent Signs, based on your reaction.
Based on my personality, I don't know. Probably a strong cup of coffee.
That wouldn't be so bad coming out of your ass.
No.
Coffee smell? Yeah.
Like a nice dark roast.
Yeah, I could see that. Mike, how about you?
Oh God. Okay. I don't know. I'm gassy a lot, so like if it smelled nice, that would be great for everybody around me, especially my husband. Let's make it a cheeseburger smell. Love me some cheeseburgers.
That is rank.
Let people's mouths water at my flatulence.
Are you the loud fart type, like you let out a big rip, or do you kind of just keep them quiet and silent but deadly?
Yeah, people say silent but deadly is always a thing, but mine are loud and deadly. They're definitely both. I eat a high protein diet. It happens.
For me personally, I feel like my fart would kind of be like an old stale movie rental place or something like that. Like if you've ever walked into a Blockbuster where the carpet's kind of like wet and nasty, and then you have like the faint smell of popcorn and just sweat, and it would be a pretty gross smell. But like a used rental store, something like that. Maybe like a GameStop, if there's still one you can find these days. My fart would smell like a GameStop.
GameStop already smells like a fart. So.
Exactly. So
yeah,
I guess that would just
kind of does
smell like farts.
I don't know why, but every GameStop I've ever walked into has a distinctive scent that is not a pleasant one.
Yeah, why is this? I don't understand. Do they not understand cleanliness, or is it just the clientele or something? Doesn't take showers?
I think they just don't pay them enough to afford deodorant.
That, and I was going to say, I think usually like they probably are looking for very low rent spaces for GameStops because it's a small store.
Yeah, but I mean, they're in malls half the time, right? And the mall doesn't stink otherwise. It's like somebody urinated on their floor and it just seeped in and now
Maybe
it's rising.
it's just our GameStop. Maybe there's really cleanly GameStops out there and just not in the New England area.
The one by me is okay.
It just doesn't smell terrible?
No, it doesn't. And if your fart actually did smell like a Blockbuster, I feel like that would be sort of nostalgic. I feel like I can smell it in my mind's eye, but I can't. You know what I mean?
Now, here's an interesting question. If those farts coming out of your ass did smell good like that or brought back a sense of nostalgia, would you then just walk around trying to put your nose up to that person's ass and smelling constantly?
No.
Dogs do it.
Exactly. Like, remember, Silent Signs, just yesterday, we saw this really old elderly person taking a left turn, and this other car was right behind it. And was very frustrated that this car was taking such a slow turn. It looked like a dog was sniffing an ass pretty much.
Because he would like inch forward and then the other car would inch forward and then they would be like they would be abutting one another again.
It was the most obnoxious, slowest vehicle turn I've ever seen in my life.
I'm so glad that I'm on the fart and butt smelling podcast.
Can I tell you something really ridiculous I've thought of before? How different would the world be if you could see people's farts? Like if it was just like a cloud of green.
Oh, my whole house would be green.
Where did that even come from? The fact that a fart is green gas, like in a visual form. Is that true?
It just seems more noxious. I don't know.
It does, yeah, like very toxic. But between Joe and his dog, I wouldn't be able to see through the fog of fart.
Listen, dog farts are a whole new level of death. They are truly terrible. They will get me out of a room. Human farts kind of dissipate rather quickly, but the dog fart lingers. Remember that day the dog blew up the whole house and we couldn't get the fart smell out? It was truly awful.
You don't want any showings happening that day.
No. We've been instructed to get the animals out. Luckily, 2 of our animals are outdoors anyways, so we've been told that they can just shoot out the door and that's okay. But lugging a big dog and a pretty big cat too, I'd say we have a hefty.
Oh, she is hefty.
What kind of cat is it exactly?
She might be part Maine Coon. She's quite large.
This cat is huge, like a good 16 to 20 pounds of dead weight when I think
It's a big cat.
So kind of annoying. Yeah, so we're going to have a dog in the back seat. We have a car too. We don't have like a vehicle that has like a lot of room in the back.
We have one functional car.
So we somehow have to get this cat and dog into this one functional vehicle and move every time someone wants to see this place. That's why we're doing open house. I hope that helps with things. But anyways, let's get into what we've been playing recently. That's enough about gas and farts and everything else. I actually didn't get to play much, obviously, with life being as crazy as it is, but Silent Signs, we were in a Target. Just by circumstance, we came across a Switch 2 for the first time. I think that we've actually seen a playable version of the Switch 2. So they had demos for Mario Kart, is it World or something like that? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mario Kart World. And they had a demo for the new Donkey Kong game.
Bonanza?
Bonanza, is it called? So went hands-on with those for a little bit, in a public setting, no less. Nobody was there, though. Nobody was playing or anything.
It was like 8 a.m. at a Target.
Like 8 a.m.
Why would anyone be there? We were just killing time.
I was like, all right, I'll give the Switch 2 a spin. The system itself, now that I've got my hands on it, it's tied to this kiosk, so it's a little hard to get a feel, but it definitely felt heftier to me. But pretty much the same format and stuff like that. I don't know.
Mike, you just got your
yeah, Mike actually owns one. So.
Switch 2, right?
Yeah, it is. It's heftier, but it honestly, I think it feels like a lot more of a premium product than the Switch one. It feels less flimsy.
It does feel a little bit less like plastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say the original Switch. It felt like you could almost like snap it like a Slim Jim. It was so flimsy. This did have some heft to it. So I actually like the design of the console itself. Not a huge change from the original Switch, but definitely felt more solid. As for the games, though, I feel like, I don't know if you agree, Silent Signs, but we were kind of underwhelmed with both of them. Kind of like Mike was saying on Discord earlier, Mario Kart felt pretty slow to me, and then the Donkey Kong game was not what I was expecting at all.
Mario Kart seems strangely slow. Like, I expect my kart racers to be pretty zippy. It just didn't feel like that, but I did really like the tracks.
I did pick Donkey Kong, in fairness, who is a slower racer, but you had another racer and still kind of felt stuck in mud, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I felt about the tracks either. Like, it was like more open, long and winding, but I feel like the opportunity for the shortcuts wasn't the same. They weren't as compact. Am I right in that thinking, Mike? You've played it probably more than I have. So.
Yeah, I've played it a little bit. I probably haven't even played it a full hour, so I can't really form that much of a judgment, but it did feel really slow. And two, I guess to not so much to its credit as in its defense, I played it after playing Fast Fusion for a while. So after playing a racing game that fast, Mario Kart World, it felt like riding a lawnmower. It was so slow by comparison.
I mean, we picked it up without having played a kart racer for quite a while. I think the last kart racer we played was probably the Mario Kart 8, right?
Well, actually, recently I re-picked up Sonic Racing Transformed, and even that being many years old now, it felt much faster than this new Mario Kart to me. I actually prefer that series to Mario Kart. I know people think that's a little crazy, but they're very fast and fluid. They're a lot of fun. But yeah, it did feel slow, and I know this is an indie podcast, but I just really didn't play anything else.
We also...
but the Donkey Kong game was very strange,
Donkey Kong's weird.
It was not like a Donkey Kong Country style game at all. It looks like it's taking on more of an open world format, but the whole idea here is just to bash things and get from point A to point B from at least what this demo was showcasing. I did not like it very much. How about you?
I didn't get my hands on it. I watched you guys play it. But it didn't look like a Donkey Kong game to me. I don't know. I have a very specific vision of what I want my platformers.
They've changed the look of Donkey Kong
games to be.
Yeah, he looks very different now.
I even liked Tropical Freeze better than.
Yeah, but at the same time, I kind of see what Nintendo is doing. It's like, we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
But
they have to try some different things. But people want the same thing over and over in a lot of cases.
How many Mario Party games are there? They're all the same. Don't lie to me. They might add some new mini games. It's all the same principle.
I appreciate the boldness is what I'm trying to say, of Nintendo at least trying to branch out with these franchises and try some new things, even if they're not necessarily going to be successful. I can't say... Either way, I can't make a determination on both of these games based on like a demo of each, but I left a little bit underwhelmed, though I will say the visual fidelity did seem like an upgrade on the Switch 2.
Yeah, looked nice.
After playing Switch, though, anything feels like a visual upgrade. But Mike, how are you enjoying the Switch 2 otherwise?
I'm enjoying it. I would say there's not a ton to play. I've really liked Fast Fusion a lot, even though there's not a ton of content, but the price is right for what's there. Mario Kart World, like I said, I've sort of barely touched, but I was very, very impressed. Since I'm about to travel soon, I decided to pick up Tears of the Kingdom because I was like, I've been dying to finally try this, and now it's going to look great on Switch 2, hopefully, and play it on the plane and whatnot. Tears of the Kingdom looks amazing. It looks really incredible. I mean, the original ran at like 720p, sub 30 FPS on Switch 1, and it
was pretty rough.
Yeah, 1080p locked 60 FPS. I have not seen a single frame drop in handheld mode, at least. I don't know how docked mode fares, but it looks great, and it's really fun so far. Switch 2 has been nice.
That's really cool to hear that they're going back and actually upgrading some of their older games and getting them to run more efficiently. I was not a big fan of a lot of those games just because I found that often they weren't fun to play because of the performance issues. It would be interesting to go back. Maybe I will give those Zelda games. I'm not really big into the 3D Zeldas anyways, but maybe I'll give them a second look now that they perform in a more functional manner. Because I did see like a tech demo of that stuff with Tears of the Kingdom and whatnot, and it looks really smooth. I have to say, they've done a great job with that so far. They got that horsepower, and these games were not like graphical, like as far as graphical detail goes and whatnot. Nintendo generally keeps it pretty simple, right? So it's probably all they needed is a bit more power to get these games running as they should be.
Yeah, totally. I think that Nintendo's approach now of going more iterative rather than trying to like reinvent everything, I think they kind of learned that lesson with the Wii U. I think it's going to work out for them because the Switch 2 is already selling quite well despite being kind of expensive and, not having a whole lot of games on it other than what the Switch 1 offers. So
there's a number floating around out there around 3.5 million, which I think set a record for Nintendo launches. Does this necessarily signal that the console is going to be a huge success, you all think? Or is this just a big surge of those initial Nintendo fans and a good job of Nintendo stocking the console? I'll start with you, Silent Signs. What do you think of that?
I had no real doubt that the Switch 2 was going to sell well. The Switch 1 was such a big success. I think that it's going to slow down, obviously, after the major surge of launch. I think every console slows down at some point, but I think it's still going to sell. perfectly fine. It's a Nintendo product after all. It's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I was kind of similar in your camp. I always thought this console was going to do well. I think this is maybe a little better than I expected just because the price was so high. I didn't necessarily see 3.5 million that quickly.
Is it that high relative to the cost of everything else right now? Is it really that expensive, or are people just whiny?
I'll let you chime in on that, Mike. What do you think?
I can see that some people get a little bit shocked at the price tag, but I don't think it's a shocking price tag. I mean,
No.
The Steam Deck kind of normalized that sort of price point, I would say, for that level of power. And the Switch 2 is arguably, it's not so straightforward, but I think it is a little more powerful than the Steam Deck, at least based on the fact that it can run Cyberpunk pretty well at like 40 FPS apparently, and the Steam Deck can't quite do that from what I've seen anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Switch 2 is going to do very well, but it kind of depends what they do from this point forward, because there's a huge subset of Nintendo's fans, like my friend Ryan, who only has a Switch, but his reaction to the Switch 2 launch was basically, it looks cool, but I don't really see a reason to buy it. There's not really much to play on it that I really care about right now. So until they come out with, the new Zelda, the new 3D Mario, whatever that is, I mean, there are people who are just going to wait, and Nintendo will absolutely come out with those games. So it's a matter of time, I think. I think it's going to do really well.
It's not all good news for Nintendo, however, either, because reports are out there now that the third-party support, those games, like the Cyberpunks, are not selling especially well on Switch 2. Does this surprise either of you? This was not a surprise to me. I don't know if Nintendo's ever going to successfully break into that market.
Because we talked about this before. People are not buying Nintendo Switch to play those third-party games. People are buying Nintendo Switch to play Nintendo games and indie games, and that's it.
But Nintendo seems very stubborn about getting third-party games out there and trying to succeed in that market.
It's great that they're trying, but it's not the target demographic. You're not buying a portable handheld console to play these big third-party games. You're just not.
What do you make of this, Mike? Third-party games not selling well on Switch 2? Any surprise to you?
It's not a surprise, but not necessarily because the demand isn't there. I feel like there probably is some decent demand for third-party games, but come on, price them right. Like, nobody wants to pay like 50 or 60, whatever it costs for Yakuza 0, which came out. How long ago did that come out now? Like, I get that you are making a new version that's catered to the Switch 2, but you got to know your audience a little bit. Like, of course that's not going to sell well.
And in some cases, too, with the whole game keycard controversy, that could be biting them a little bit early here. But is that all internet talk? We'll have to see. I think third-party games were always kind of going to be a niche audience on the Switch 2. It's just not where you go. You have better options. And I think most people that own a Switch 2 don't solely own that. They own another console that is going to be more powerful and better for those experiences.
Or they just don't care about those experiences as it is.
Right, yeah. You bought it for Nintendo games. Let's face it, that's the majority of the market, I'd say, right? They bought it for Nintendo games. Anyways, we got a little ahead of ourselves there with new stuff, but Mike, what have you been playing lately, if anything, in the indie gaming scene?
Yeah, well, as you know, in the Discord server, some of us are kind of encouraging each other to wrap up Expedition 33, so I've been really trying to do that finally, because I got distracted by the altars and Pipistrello and Lost and Random and all the other stuff I was reviewing the last couple of months, but I am finally close. And I picked up this is also getting a little ahead, but I picked up some interesting games during the Steam Summer Sale, and some of them I've only tried a couple of my pickups so far, but one that I really want to play some more of is it's like sort of a low budget, kind of janky John Wick sort of power fantasy called Suit for Hire.
Interesting. Haven't heard of that one.
Yes. Yeah, Suit for Hire. It's got like, the slow motion Max Payne diving and dive shooting, slow motion shooting, and all sorts of crazy hand to hand stuff. And like, yeah, you can tell it was made by a very small team. Like, the visuals aren't really anything especially great, but it feels really fun to play, and it's just kind of a fun, casual power fantasy. I think a lot of people would get into it, and it's only $9 right now, and it came out 9 days ago, I think it came out on the 20th.
It's actually pretty cool. The indie scene has kind of struggled to break into the Max Payne shooter market, hasn't it? There's been some attempts at it, but nothing exceptional that I've found.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call this exceptional either. I don't think it's trying to be. I think it's just trying to be this like fun, sort of casual power fantasy that gets pretty hard if you put it on higher difficulties and all that. But it seems also like there's a lot of content, at least from what I've seen so far, but just kind of seeing like the mission screen and how long a couple of missions took. But I think a lot of people could be into that one. That's one of the only ones I've tried so far from the summer sale. And I think since the last time I've been on this podcast, it's been a little while. I tried the Midnight Walk, and wow, do I want to play more of that. That is an incredible looking game with just such a unique vibe. I have to finish that one.
No trying out the VR section of it yet? Or
No, I haven't gotten to do that yet. Sometimes I'm just feeling too lazy to put that on, but I absolutely will play through it in VR once I have some time to do that, because that seems like what it's made for practically.
Cool. So obviously you can't like discuss every game you've purchased, but what were some of your other Steam Summer Sale pickups? Seeing we're kind of heading into that topic next. Anyways, Steam Summer Sale, of course, is live right now. I think it runs all the way through 4th of July, if not beyond, right? Into mid-July almost?
Yeah.
But it's going to be running for a while. So what have you grabbed so far? I haven't even got a chance to look at this sale yet. I've just been enjoying what you all have been posting. I know I have some time, though.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of games I picked up. I'm just going to say some of the more interesting ones. There is a game called Out of Hands, which is, I think, sort of like a horror deck builder, but it has to be kind of seen to be believed. I don't know how they created this thing. It's a bunch of like different hands in different shapes that kind of like make faces for the characters, I guess. It's one of those things where unless you're looking at it, I'm going to do a terrible job of describing it. But have you heard of this one?
Never, no. Have you heard of it, Silent Signs?
No.
Yeah, it looks extremely weird. Definitely it seems sort of narrative focused, like not the kind of deck builder that you play forever, but it looks really, really cool. And then there's one that I had to bring up because of our earlier topic. It is called Revenge of the Colon. And it is $1.99 right now. I have not tried it, but it describes itself as a story-driven, single-player, atmospheric body horror game where you perform colonoscopies and discover the horrors concealed deep within the patient's PS1 horror style.
Did this have like an adult filter on it or anything? Or was this just floating around Steam?
No, it's not a porny game. It's not porny, not horny. It's just weird and
sounds kind of fetishy at the
creepy.
least.
It's definitely weird, but weird doesn't have to be porn. So here we are.
I was like, for $1.99, I gotta.
Of course.
I gotta at least.
Absolutely.
I can't
For a
not
pack
buy
of
that.
gum, yeah.
Not even. I think my pack of gum was like $4 the other day.
Hey, if you get into some of those fancier gums, you'd be surprised what you spend on gum nowadays. My daughter threw a pack of gum up on the
Conveyor?
Register?
The conveyor belt, thank you.
Register?
Yes, the conveyor.
Yeah,
My
I
daughter
guess.
threw
Yeah.
something on the conveyor belt, and the gum ran up for like $6 or something. I was like, what kind of gum did you get?
What?
Yeah, it
That's
was
some
stupid.
bougie gum.
Anyways, what else did you pick up?
Let's see. You mentioned Proverbs on a recent Hidden Gems
Oh,
thing,
yes,
I think.
yeah.
That looked really interesting to me, so I decided to pick that one up.
Pretty rad game, isn't it? Oh, you didn't try it yet.
I didn't try it yet, but it looks really cool. And then there's one I can't wait to try. It's a platformer called Ariole, Wings of Hope. It sounds way too close to Areola. I don't know what they were thinking there, but Aureole. You're like this. It's almost like you're one of the rings in a Sonic game, and you play as the ring, and you're kind of bouncing and gliding and dashing through all these crazy levels with different obstacles. It just looks like a really, really fun time.
It's funny you mentioned that. We actually have a list coming up on the channel this week. It's all about games that are similar to Sonic in the indie gaming scene. So just a side note there.
Oh.
It's going to be a really fun
Interesting.
list. I've enjoyed putting it together. Anyways, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I think that's pretty much it for some of the interesting ones. The others, there are a decent amount of others, but I I kind of prioritize getting some weird games here, and I'm not even sure I can describe some of them without first trying them out. So maybe on a future podcast.
To be continued.
We'll give them a go first. Yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to keep my eyes locked to the Discord channel as well because people are posting all of their different sales, pickups, and stuff. So pretty excited to grab at least a few things, hopefully before the sale ends. But I got a sale of my own going on here on my house. So
Yeah.
that is taking up like my whole life.
It's like 95% of our lives right now.
Yeah, pretty much. There was one other story I wanted to shout out here this week. Not a game I really liked myself, but a lot of people really enjoyed it. Chained Echoes. It's a JRPG, classic style. It's getting some DLC. Deck 13, Spotlight, and Umami Tiger, the newly founded studio from Matthias Linda, the story comes from Games Press by the way, are proud to announce Ashes of Elrond, the official DLC for the masterpiece and award-winning indie JRPG. Chained Echoes will be releasing August 7th, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. Ashes of Elrond offers more of what fans and media loved. A new land to explore, more than 40 new monsters and bosses, 15 new tracks by mastermind Eddie Marianacro, probably messed that up, and more. So, I was not a big fan when I first played this game, Silent Signs, but just putting this out there because I know a lot of people do in fact love Chained Echoes.
What didn't you like about it, out of curiosity?
I think it was the combat, if I recall. I wasn't getting along with it. It was sort of turn-based, but definitely felt like it mixed in strategy RPG elements in a way that wasn't jiving with me very well.
You like more of your classic turn-based combat.
Yeah, and it really stretched the line of what was classic turn-based combat and strategy game, and it tried to fuse those together in a way that just wasn't clicking with me. I also didn't really gel with the characters from what I played. A couple of them were annoying me. Just a lot of things that turned me off from it. It's a genre that I usually love, too.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. I feel like in terms of RPGs that I make time for, it kind of has to get in line. I do still really want to play Sea of Stars and that DLC that came out for it that looks really cool. Seems like most people like that one a little better. But maybe some people in the comments will disagree. I don't know. Chained Echoes look neat, but I don't know if I'll ever realistically make time for it.
So I should ask you, seeing you're so into Expedition 33, are you gonna kind of maybe consider going on a little bit of a JRPG, RPG kick here? Are you turning favor to turn-based combat at all?
You know what? I've always loved turn-based combat, actually. I like RPGs in theory, but it's a lot of JRPGs that I kind of struggle with, and the reason it tends to be the pacing. I feel like a lot of JRPGs, like Persona especially, is very guilty of this. It has so much dialogue, just the amount of dialogue, especially repeated dialogue, where they just kind of reiterate the same points and the same goals and the same ideas over and over. It really gets to me. Like, it wears me down over this 100+ hour runtime. And I appreciate an RPG that's more compact, which is why Expedition 33, I think it's been amazing. The pacing is so good. And, it's, at least from what I've heard, Sea of Stars is also pretty tight, like a game that you could finish in like 25 to 30 hours or so, from what I've heard, which for a turn-based RPG sounds really, really reasonable. So ones like that, I would definitely consider going on a little bit of a binge with those, because that sounds like it meets exactly what I want, as long as the story is good,
And games do often bombard you with endless slew of text these days, though. I hear you on that one. In fact, in your recent review, Ruffy and the Riverside, you had the same problem, didn't you? With the game just having tons and tons of text for no good reason, really, when the story wasn't all that compelling. At least that's what I kind of got based off of your review.
Oh yeah, that was exhausting. Ruffy that game wanted to be good so badly, and it wasn't bad, like I said in my review, but oh my god, the first couple of hours where there's barely anything happening other than going from story beat to story beat and simple puzzles, I was like, oh man, this is such a stinker. And then it got a little better from there, but oh man, the dialogue, terrible. So bad.
I was kind of surprised at the reaction that review got. Not a lot of people were disagreeing with you, because some folks actually got to go hands-on with the demo, and I think that actually helps our reviews sometimes when people are able to at least experience a slice of the game, and they don't necessarily just lash out a comment based on something that they perceive in their mind about the game. They went hands-on with Ruffy, and a lot of your points connected with them, so That's another cool thing about demos, isn't it, Silent Signs?
Yeah, definitely. That's such a disappointment, that game, though, because I really wanted that to be good.
You've been excited about it for a while, right?
Yeah.
So what was that game trying to be exactly? More like Banjo-Kazooie or Mario 64, or a fusion of those two?
Yeah, it seemed Banjo-Kazooie-esque, especially since you had like this sidekick that was a bee. But yeah, and it did, to its credit, do something very different with the whole texture swapping thing. But there just wasn't a cohesive rule set for that mechanic. So, it was the kind of thing where you would think, oh, I can swap this texture for this one, and this might happen. And it sort of discouraged experimentation as much as possible to be like, no, this is the one solution to this puzzle. So if you're not doing this, nothing else is really going to work, which was a bummer. That's why I kind of felt like it didn't meet its potential there.
That was kind of my reaction when I first watched that trailer. I'm like, this is a very, very ambitious idea. The fact that you can just turn everything. And I felt like it was going to be annoying.
In fact, I think I remember when I think it was on our list of games we were excited about for 2025 or something like that. And I remember saying this could go really, really well or become really, really annoying.
Exactly. Yeah. So it sounds like it's somewhere in between, unfortunately. Yeah. So I think you settled on the competent, the table lamp of mediocrity.
Yeah, they tried. Yeah, and similar to, well, I hope they release an update similar to the Plucky Squire, because in that game I kind of bounced off it a bit because of so much dialogue that just really bothers me these days. But they released an update to communicate the story in a lot less dialogue, which is awesome. And I think Ruffy could easily do the same thing. And fix some of the bugs and everything, and certainly become more worth playing, in my opinion.
And I don't know if you've heard too, Mike, or been paying attention to the channel in the more recent weeks, but Silent Signs here is becoming a little bit of a card girly, isn't she? So you've played Crown Gambit recently.
It's been gradually happening over
and
time.
Battle Train.
Okay.
And you actually enjoyed both games, right?
Yeah, I did.
So
really?
You might want to check out those videos. I know you're a card lover.
Yeah, I definitely am. I think I had like 3 or 4 deck builder reviews in a row, and I was like, okay, I'm good for a little while.
That's fair.
But now I bought Out of Hands, which is kind of a deck builder, even if it's a weird one, and I'm excited to play that. So maybe I'm back on the deck builder train pretty soon. Those ones you checked out looked really cool, though.
You should try out Battle Train. That one was actually really fun.
I was going to say, Battle Train is like more casual, fun, cartoony, whereas Crown Gambit has this darker, brooding story that's actually really neat, and you make choices in it.
Of the two, though, Battle Train is definitely easier to pick up, and it has a really good sense of humor about it that I feel like you would appreciate.
I also thought Crown Gambit legitimately looked awesome, though.
It was.
I really want to play it because it kind of
agree.
reminded me of like Magic the Gathering or something like that. But the story was really cool and the art. That's a game that's not getting a lot of publicity out there either. So
needs a little bit more attention. It's not. It's got a. I know you're not. We just talked about narrative and text, but there is actually a good story with that one that has like branching. Like, your decisions matter. So, like, what you choose in conversation will impact how the story plays out.
I think that's important, too. If what's happening on screen is interesting
or relevant,
then you don't mind so much. If it's just, Ruffy found a fucking bird or something like that, then you don't care at all.
Yeah. Listen, one of my favorite games of all time, probably in my top 3, is Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium has an insane amount of text. The game is all text, but the writing is incredible and the story is so compelling and the voice work is amazing. I love a good story. I just don't like being forced to read a bunch of text that's just sort of bullshit.
Yeah. Valid.
All right, bit of a tangent there. We had like a topic before our actual topic today, but that's okay. That's what we do here on this podcast. We were talking last week about rambling with Ted. Ted was all concerned about being a rambler. I thought he was quite entertaining myself. Mm-hmm. Our topic, though, it is all about boss battles in games. This is contentious. Some people really love boss battles. Some people absolutely hate them. I am somewhere in between. I find that this very much depends on the game for me. Some games have the most obnoxious boss battles that will halt my progress, like Squirrel with a Gun comes to mind recently, which you had this terrible tank battle pretty close to the beginning of the game.
Where you had to throw the dynamite.
It pissed me off so much, it almost killed all my momentum for wanting to do the rest of that review. And then you have some more casual boss battles out there, like in the Donkey Kong Country series, where it's 3 hops on their head, kind of a fun pattern to learn. I enjoy battles like that. So this goes all over the place. game dependent for me, but I'll start with you, Mike. Go ahead. What do you think of boss battles in general?
Joe, I am not kidding at all, but I was going to use Squirrel with the Gun as an example of terrible boss fights. I hated that tank battle so much. Oh, that tank battle was terrible. Oh, I didn't know what they were thinking or if they play tested that very much. Oh, what a mess. But overall, I love boss fights. In fact, some of my favorite games are boss rush games. Like Shadow of the Colossus is one of my favorites. Perennial Order last year, one of my favorite games of the year. Incredible. Expedition 33's boss fights have been incredible. Some of the highlights of the game. I think when a boss is designed well, it can be some of the best gaming I ever had, but when it's done poorly, it can be some of the worst. So it really just depends on the implementation. And I think more often than not now, I see that if developers don't feel like they can put together an interesting, compelling boss fight, they usually don't. So I definitely see more good than bad these days, but curious what you guys think.
I don't like a long boss battle. The longer and more phases a boss battle has, the less I like it. Like, I hate when you're fighting a really difficult boss and you like take out the first 2 phases and then they come back with a 3rd phase and you're like, oh my God, I thought I won. I like a nice straightforward boss fight where you're not going to lose too much time and progress, and like you can learn a pattern and then successfully execute.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. I mean, sometimes even games I love, boss battles I love, do that like, oh, gotcha, there's another phase. And
Yeah.
I don't mind that once, but doing it multiple times, that's just cruel.
Yeah, like I could see that for like a final boss, right? Like the end of the game that's got like 3 phases. Like, okay, I get it.
I think in more modern times, too, I'd get a little bit more pissed off at boss battles than I used to, because in roguelike structured games, which we play a lot of here on the channel, you see that same damn boss over and over again. I've killed, like, this crab creature, like, 50 times. You're just tired of the pattern. You're kind of just going through the motions at that point. But then there's these grandiose boss battles and RPGs and stuff. I like a good turn-based classic RPG boss battle that's multi-staged, epic bosses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like some platformer bosses too. Some of them can be annoying. The worst is when you have to restart a very long, drawn-out battle. Hate those.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the more long and drawn out it is, the more painful a loss is.
Right, and then starting it all from scratch.
Yeah,
it's kind of like,
it just
how am I going to
feels
get the energy to do this again?
So defeating.
But let us know in the comments below. What do you think of boss battles? Are they terrible? Are they the best thing ever? Somewhere in between? We'd love to hear from you. We'll read those comments on the next episode. We had a few comments last week, Silent Signs. I don't know if they're actually relevant. What was our topic last week?
Honestly, it was about audiences' relationships with content creators.
Oh,
like
right.
boundaries.
Yeah. I don't think we had any specific comments on that subject, but we got a few. We'll read them all. This one comes from Okamiden1523. Sorry if I pronounced that username wrong. I love your content. Please continue making more of it as long as you're able to and as long as you enjoy what you do. Well, thank you very much. We always appreciate a positive comment here on the channel. Ran Miti Me Bro. Did I say that right?
Probably not.
7141. They're wanting an avatar for Ted. So,
yes, we do need one.
I am happy to report Ted has sent his photo over, and we will soon have pixel art for Ted.
Soon.
However, do note, Ted has, as he mentioned last week on the show, he is venturing on a full-time job, so he might be cutting back a little bit on the channel, but he'll still be around. And then the last comment here, Quinn Taylor 7985. This is in reference to, we had a conversation about 40 ounces. So, Mike, I'm sure you know what a 40 ounce is, but Ted was not familiar.
Yep.
Being from the UK, that's not a thing, apparently. So he had to actually Google what a 40 ounce malt liquor looked like. Anyways, this is related to that, because we were talking about what we would replace our hands with, and somehow that got into a conversation about Edward 40 hands and the old college game where you tape the two 40s to your hands.
I didn't know what any of that was until I met you, to be fair.
You didn't know about Edward 40 hands? Do you know what it is, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've never done it myself, but I've seen it. It sounds awful.
Yeah, it does.
It must be a dude thing then, because you didn't know about it. You're not in the game, Silent Signs. Anyways, Quinn Taylor. I don't drink anymore, but way back in the day, a couple of 40 ounces Mickey's malt liquor used to set me right.
Oh, boy.
Sure will, but it's a tough morning, I'll tell you. As someone who's put down a few 40s in their day.
Sounds like it would set you wrong.
All right, coming up this week on the channel, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in this podcast, we've got a list of indie games that are Sonic-like. I like that everything can just be a like these days. You can have a Mario-like, a Sonic-like. Just make up words and genres at this point. So that's going to be out on Tuesday, List Tuesdays. That's our kind of new thing we're going for here. We have a little bit of a schedule, some sort of degree of organization going on here, Silent Signs. So Monday we have upcoming indies on the channel every week. Tuesday is our lists. Wednesday we have Ashton's new show. I think it's going to be debuting this week, where she is looking at 0 or very close to 0 reviewed games on Steam.
Do we have any report of what the first game will be?
No, we have no report on that. She has been visiting family, so I'll be hearing probably from her tomorrow, I imagine. That's going to be exciting, though. I don't know what her format's going to be. I've kind of given her free reign and creative control. I just gave her the basic idea for the show. So a new show potentially on the channel this week, unless she needs more time. We'll see. But hopefully that'll be out.
Coming soon as well.
Coming soon, Wednesday. We've been doing some shorts with Ashton as well. I don't know if you noticed. She's kind of been giving a rundown of some of the cool indie games she's playing.
Yep.
And y'all seem to enjoy that, so hopefully more of those as well. And then Friday, we have Indie Underdogs, one of my favorite shows to make on the channel, Silent Signs, because it highlights those very overlooked indie games that only have a handful of reviews. So that's kind of what we're doing here at the channel now. We're really trying to shine a spotlight more than ever on these really small indies, in some cases not the newest releases, even though we cover those too, but some that got overlooked. So between Ashton's new show and Hidden Indie Gems Friday, I think we're going to discover a lot of cool indies together.
I'm excited.
Yeah, so exciting times. And who wants to do the silly noise and get out of here?
Do you want to let the dog do it?
He's kind of huffing and puffing right now for no good reason. All right, you know what? I'm going to do it. Oh!